Good afternoon. We want to call this hearing to order. This is the AHA Committee on the National Census and the Electoral Boundaries Delineation AHA Committee. This afternoon we are privileged to have the Director General of LISGIS and his team. Purposely, they are here to do a presentation of the official census report that was the census that was conducted in 2022. They are here to do a formal report of that census. And following that, we'll have an exchange with them to understand the population. And then the committee will decide the way forward. The next hearing will be with the National Elections Commissions to do the proposed boundaries, electoral boundaries, setting the threshold. But at this time, we want to call the Sergeant Arms to kindly place our witnesses on an oath, because whatever they say here is going to be used against them.
I,
Richard Governor, General of Business.
do hereby swear
Do hereby swear
that the testimony I'm about to give
that the testimonies I'm about to give
and to my recollections
and to my recollection
is the truth
is the truth
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay? Witnesses understand that qualified.
Thank you, Sergeant. May I have a seat? DG, once again, want to say thank you for your patience and for your cooperation. You have been coming. You came before. I believe this is a third appearance, but today is a little bit different, though the same material, but this time now is the official report that you're going to present. So on behalf of the AHA committee, we want to say welcome to you and all the members of the team. We're glad to have you. So we'll do some introductions. Colleagues, can we introduce ourselves, and then we'll turn over to the LISGIS team. Starting from my extreme left.
I am Tabamapade Fakula, Senator of Grand County, member of this AHA committee. Thank you.
Okay.
No.
Let's continue from this end, from the far right.
I'm Senator Thomas Yaya Nibley from Grand County.
Senator Johnny Bay from Hong County.
Senator nominated Batikwa from Grand Crew. Oh, no. Electronic in Grand Crew.
My name is Glebo Brown. I come from Maryland County. I'm chairing this committee. DG, our team will have other senators coming. Some of them are on their way. They will join us. We hope that they'll meet us, especially when you are about to do the substantive part of your presentation. So at this time, we want to pass it on to LISGIS to do the introductions, and right after the introductions, we'll ask the DG to do the formal presentation. DG, it's okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I came along with my team, and I would love for my colleagues to do the presentation, starting from the colleagues on the left, then my Deputy Director General.
Okay, sorry. Will they be speaking?
No.
Oh, okay. Let it go.
My name is Thomas Davis, Seventh Director of Your Service of LISGIS.
My name is Carol from United Specialist Ministries.
My name is Mantu S. Reeves. I'm the Director of Social Statistics.
Well,
My name is Brian Andrews, the Director General Office.
these are all good people.
Sure.
And I'm Boyman Isham Suri, Deputy Director General for Statistics and Data Processing, LISGIS. Richard Fatoma Gafwan, Director General, LISGIS. Thank you very much, Honorable Senator Rebel Brown, esteemed senators of and members of the ad hoc committee on national census and electoral boundary delineation. It is a great pleasure to be here today, especially to present one of the formidable demographic schemes, because of all the data collection schemes in every country, a census is the largest. And by definition, the census is a complete and total process of collecting, then compiling, then you evaluate, then you analyze, and later on you publish data, especially demographic, economic, and social data pertaining to the population at a given point in time. And when we say given point in time, the census is like a picture. When you take the picture of a person, obviously the picture represents the complexion, the look of the person at the point in time the photo was taken. So obviously the person might change over the years. And for that, in demography, we usually conduct population projections to be able to capture the experiences of the population in the future. So the census by itself has its own legal basis. The legal basis of the census mainly rests within the fact that in the Liberian Constitution, the 1986 Constitution, there are three major provisions in the 1986 Constitution that actually tend to give the legislature the right and the power to be able to call the census. So Article 39 of the Constitution states the legislature shall cause a census of the Republic to be undertaken every 10 years. So in Liberia, the inter-census period is 10 years. Nevertheless, may I sound a caveat that it is not compulsory for censuses to be conducted every 10 years. In other countries, given the availability of resources, censuses are usually conducted during a shorter period of time. So the ideal situation is to conduct the census every year. That's the ideal. But because of the unavailability of resources, and the last time the census budget was around 20 million, and given the competing challenges when it comes to budgetary allocation, it is obvious that we can do census every year. So Article 39 of the Liberian Constitution gave the Liberian legislature the power to proclaim the census. Article 80D of the Constitution also states that each constituency shall have an approximately equal population of 20,000 or such number of citizens as the legislature shall prescribe in keeping with population growth and movements as revealed by a national census, provided that the total number of electoral constituencies in the Republic shall not exceed 100. So obviously, 20,000 is not technically the feasible threshold number. No. As the population tends to increase, the legislature shall decide, based upon the current reality, to decide on the threshold. During the previous census, when we conducted the census in 2008, there was a huge threshold debate. After that, the legislature decided that instead of having one threshold number for all the counties, numbers were assigned to each county. Then that number was being used to divide the total population so that each county had its own threshold. That was what was done. So there was no uniform threshold across the country. This time around, in the wisdom of the legislature, you will technically look at the results and see what would be the best thing, because what has happened, if you read it, realize it, and if one of my slides down will actually speak about that, we have, especially Monserrado County, almost all the electoral districts exceeded 75,000 people. One of the districts, I think District 4, is above 100,000. Given this current reality, it means we have to look at the census and come up with the best for the country that will increase representation of the people and also take into consideration the economic realities of the day. And I'm very certain that with the wisdom of the current legislature, the best will be done. So, again, Article 80A also talks about immediately following a national census and before the next election. This is where we are now. The Elections Commission shall reappropriate the constituencies in accordance with the new population figures, so that every constituency shall have as close to the same population as possible, provided, however, that a constituency be solely within the county. After we shall have presented the results to the legislature and the threshold is determined, the legislature obviously will mandate the Electoral Commission, under the supervision of the legislature, to be able to carve electoral boundaries. And the process of carving electoral boundaries, the last time when I came here, the process of carving electoral boundaries coincided with the gerrymandering, where there were concerns about new districts being allocated so that certain political parties will be disadvantaged. It is our hope that with the wisdom of this current legislature, the process of electoral boundary demarcation will be done solely for representation. Then, LISGIS Act also mandates LISGIS as the sole entity to conduct the census. That is Section 50A of the LISGIS Act. It says that it designates LISGIS as the sole national institution with the authority responsible for official statistics and geoinformation management, and empowers LISGIS to conduct censuses and surveys at all administrative levels across Liberia. This legal mandate gives LISGIS exclusive authority to organize, execute, and publish results of the population and housing census and other national censuses. So now, usually, and we only look at the census for, especially what we are doing now is to look at one of the objectives of the census for electoral boundary demarcation. But beyond that, the census is usually used, talking about objectives of the census. The census is used mainly for economic development planning, for population projection, and our results were being used by Ministry of Finance and Development Planning and other planners for the arrest agenda for inclusive development. Our results have been used by development agencies when they are carving out the development plans for interventions in Liberia. So the census generally is technically a formidable database that can be used for projection and for understanding the social demographic situation of the population. So in 2022, let's go to the results. In 2008, when we did the census, the population of Liberia was roughly 3.4 million. That is 3,455,493 people. In 2022, the official number happens to be 5,250,187 people. Bombing County, 133,705. Bonk, 467,561. Bapolo, 95,995. Grand Bassa, 293,689. Grand Kidman, 178,867. Grand Jide, 216,692. Grand Crew, 109,394. Lofa, 367,376. Magibi, 304,946. Maryland, 172,587. Monserrato, 1,920,965. Nimba, 621,841. River Sets, 90,819 persons. River G, 124,653. Simon, 151,149. So the total population amounted to 5,250,187. When we came at LISGIS, we decided to vet the census results and call demographers and stakeholders to look at the results. We had demographers in Liberia and both external demographers, and after looking at the result thoroughly, and these are the official results that can be used for threshold setting, and obviously looking at the detailed result in the total boundary demarcation. And we put the projected population for 2025 so that at least you can see. So for 2025, the projected population is 5,633,195. So currently we are at 5.6 million people. And before we can reach the 10-year mark, we might be nearing or at least 9 million, around 9 to 8 million people. So these are the challenges that we have to prepare for as we go here. I will talk briefly about some of the projected numbers, especially when it comes to schools and doctors that we need across the country. So if you look at the trend from population growth trend from 1962, when its first census was conducted, we were 1.02 million. In 1974, we were 1.5 million. 1984, Liberia population went to 2.5. 2008, 3.49. Then 2022, 5. You see that there is a growth trend, and definitely population tend to grow geometrically in terms of geometric increase, because as the population tend to grow over the years, the numbers tend to double. And you see that from 2008 to 2022, it has gone from 3 straight to 5 million. Then we look at the gender disparity in terms of the population. And many times people ask, and many people can say that we have more women in Liberia than men. And that is the general perception. The general perception, might be there, but the empirical evidence might be different. Theoretically and by fact, across the world, there are more male children born than female children. That's how it is by nature. So if you compute today all the children born in Liberia over this year, you will get to realize that there are more male children that are born than female children. Over the years, sometimes because of infant and childhood mortality, male children being more susceptible to childhood illnesses than female children might tend to die over the years, and the numbers might reduce, making females to sometimes exceed. But with improvement in terms of vaccination, healthcare coverage, going to many places in our country, and the increase in health facilities, and the increase in the number of children being vaccinated, the propensity for more male children to die during the childhood years happen to marginally decrease. And that marginal decrease will obviously tend to make more male children to survive, and as they survive, the number of males will be more. During the time of war and epidemics, especially war, males are more prone to dying because of men are the ones fighting the war. Men are likely to take more risks than women. But we have not had war for some time now. So definitely there is a slight increase in the number of males than females in Liberia. In fact, 2008, that was how it was. Then we look at rural-urban disparity. If you observe the rural-urban disparity, you will get to observe that there is a declining rural population in Liberia. And the main reason for that is rural-urban migration. I will go in detail and explain some of the numbers in terms of people moving toward, especially Montserrat County. In 1974, we had 71% of the population rural. 1974. In 1984, it dropped to 61%. 2008, it dropped to 53%. Now, which is concerning, we have 45.5% of our population in rural areas compared to urban areas. We have more Liberians living in urban places now than in rural areas. This will obviously have effect when it comes to food production and so forth, and it's mainly because we have maintained a Monrovia-centric economy, as I can usually call it. Mm-hmm. Everything is centralized technically, and most people prefer to move down. And as we go to subsequent slides, we will get to observe the movement of people coming towards Montserrat County. Then, another issue there is that you see here migrants population by economic activity, and you observe that for migrants, in terms of the total population, 50% of Liberians are own-account workers, 5 years and older. Own-account workers are those who work for themselves, who are involved in petty trading. They are not employed, they are not salary workers, and they are not contributing family workers. Contributing family workers are those who work in family businesses. For instance, I have my shop or my table or my business, and I have my son or my daughter or my nephew working in my business. They are providing service in my business, so they are contributing family workers. So contributing family workers happen to be 30% of the population. Then we have salary workers, those who work for some form of salary, not necessarily for government, is around 20%. Then we look at life expectancy. The life expectancy this is actually life expectancy at birth. So what it means is that a person born in 2022 is expected, if the conditions of mortality that was existing in 2022 continue to persist, is expected to live an average of 58.3 years, 58 years in Liberia. Females are more likely to live longer than males, given the numbers. So the life expectancy for female in Liberia is 61 years compared to males 55 years. Then total fertility rate. There is a gradual decline in the fertility rate in Liberia also. Liberians they are not born like before. And that there is a simple reason for that. Or theoretically, the more people get to be urbanized, the less likely for them to want to born more children. Because when more people live in urban places, they prefer smaller families because of the economic situation. And when more people become urbanized, their educational status will tend to increase. And especially the educational status of females tend to have its own effect on the total fertility rate, because when women are more educated, they tend to born less children. So in 2008, the total fertility rate for urban persons were 4.9. The average was roughly 5 children per woman. In rural Liberia, the average was like 6 children per woman. Then for the entire country, it was around 6 children per woman. In 2022, the urban total fertility rate is around 4 children. So the urban and rural disparity in terms of the total fertility rate happens to be very narrow, because we have 3.7 in urban area and 4 in rural areas. The total fertility rate across Liberia is 3.9, or on average 4 children per woman. What you see is just the design. This is called the population pyramid. It explains the structure of the Liberian population from 0 to 85 plus. The structure tells you how the population looks. If you see here, you see that obviously when you are lucky to live above 50, you should know that you are among the few persons existing, because there are fewer persons above 50 and upwards compared to those below 50. And so you see, let's go to the next slide. If you look at the age structure of the Liberian population, 34.2% of the population falls within the 0 to 14 years age category. 34%. However, 74.6% of the population is below the age of 35 years. 63% of the population is within the working age, that is 15 to 64 years. Then only 2.8% of the population is at least 65 years, that is 65 years and above. Then, let's look at net migration. The net migration, and it's actually net internal migration. Internal migration pertains to the movement of persons from one county to another. Movement of persons because from one county to another. We are not looking at intra-county migration, but mainly between counties. And if you see here, this is the table, and it shows that Montserrado County has the highest positive net migration. That is, Montserrado County added about 1.05 million persons within the intercensual period. One additional 1 million persons were added to Montserrado. That means additional 1 million persons came to Montserrado County. Let's go to the next slide. So then Magidi, because of its proximity to Montserrado, had the second highest net positive gain, though it was just around 114,000 people. But because if you're talking about Montserrado, you're talking about Bemba Town, you're talking about Doison, you're talking about Marshall, all of these places are technically Montserrado, but people in their minds still consider them to be, they are technically Magidi rather,
yeah.
but people in their mind take them to be in Montserrado County.
Yeah.
So, though Bapolo had the least, that number is marginal because if you look at the net in and out movement in Bapolo, they only added very little amount of persons. Together, Montserrado and Magidi accounted for over 95% of the total population gained nationally. Now let's go to the next slide. Now, if you look at, if net migration is negative, it means more people left that county than they came in. Lofa, Bong, and Nimba had the highest net movements of people outside of those counties. The net migration of persons out of Lofa was 269,000. The net migration in Bong, 279,000. Nimba, 150,000. So these three counties combined alone recorded nearly 700,000 persons leaving those counties. Other counties that have people leaving, Grand Bassa, 182,000. Though Grand Judah was just roughly 10,000 persons. Maryland, 58,000 persons. And the question is, where are these people going to? Majority of them, though we have people going to the contiguous counties, nevertheless, the propensity of most of these people coming to Montserrado happens to be high. And I will show you through another slide that show an Excel sheet. So, Mr. Dennis, just go to the Excel sheet that, just go to the Excel sheet, please. Now, the Excel sheet tells you the percentage distribution of ethnic groups by county. And they are very interesting analysis there. You observe that 41% of the Bassa people live in Montserrado County. And technically, Bassa people happen to be the highest population in Montserrado. No, but actually that's a positive story because of the yeah, so but nevertheless, if you see here, there are more Bassa people in Montserrado than in Grand Bassa. More Bassa people in Montserrado than in Grand Bassa.
Oh.
Yes. But there are other interesting ones. If you see, for the Kisi, though 42% of the Kisi happen to be in Lofa, but 40% of the Kisi population is in Montserrado. And the results show that there are more Loman people in Montserrado than in Lofa.
What?
Yes.
I don't follow the man.
Now, if you see the distribution of Loma across the various counties, you see here that in Lofa is 33%. In Mosurado, 50.8%. In Magibis is 3% of the. But the ethnic groups that have more of the people in their counties, the Gio happen to be 70% in Nimba, Manos 69% in Nimba. The Crown happens to be, because if you see the number here, we have the number of Crown in Grand Judah is 69%, which is huge. But the Vi people, again, there are more Vi people in Mosurado County than in Cape County. There are more Vi people. As you see, we have 52% Vi people in Mosurado compared to 34% Vi in Cape Town. Then Mandingo, the bulk of the Mandingo people are in Mosurado compared to 16% in Lofa, which is the second highest, then spread across the various counties. So it tells you to a larger extent, if you look at the table, because this table is very wide, it tells you to a larger extent that the movement of people towards Monrovia is the pattern of migration. And if this is not checked in terms of decentralization, when we do the next census, we might exceed 2 million persons in Mosurado County. In some other counties, technically we have less persons in terms of who are technically persons who originated from those counties compared to being in Mosurado County. Yeah, so let's go back to the slide. Now, the next thing is that in terms of population density, the population density shows that the population in Liberia is happen to be unevenly distributed. Mosurado County alone hosts 36.6% of the population, but Mosurado covers just 2% of the land area in Liberia. And an average of 2,600 persons per square mile. For the 4 counties, Mosurado, Magibi, Maryland, Bomi, these counties contain 48% of the population, but 9% of the land area. So nearly half of the population live on less than 1/10 of the country's land. On the converse, on the opposite side, Bapolu, Riverses, Grand Judah, Sino have some of the largest land areas but the lowest population densities. That is 26 to 60 persons per square mile. These 5 interior counties account for about 50% of the land area, but less than 25% of the national population. Bapolu alone covers 10% of the land area, but at least 1.8% of the population. The reason we're going into this is because we are just going to present the raw numbers, but we decided to go in depth into some of the issues beyond the numbers. So the next thing now we want to look at is Mr. Davis? Yes. Please go to slide 20. Slide number 20. Yes, sorry. Slide number 20. Are you there? Slide 20. Slide number 20. Slide number 20 just has the projected primary school enrollment. In 2022 alone, we have a 1.1 million primary school enrollment. So it is projected that by 2042, this number might hit nearly, it will be going to 1.7 towards 2 million primary enrollment. But then we look at the projected primary school teachers. If you see here, in 2022 we have 47,453 primary teachers. But by 2042 we should talk about 72,885 primary school teachers. So it means as of 2027 we will need to have an additional 500. At least at the optimum level, we need an additional 5,845 teachers, primary school teachers, as of 2027. So that is the projection, given the number of primary school students and looking at the existing or the ideal student to teacher ratio. Then the next slide talks about the number of projected medical doctors. Again, in 2022, we have 295 doctors, and so by 2027, because which is the shortest time, we hope that we should have 331. So it means by 2027, we need to add an additional 36 medical doctors.
And what will be the ratio?
Huh?
The ratio.
In terms of
Doctor to patient.
no, I don't have it here now, but we can subsequently provide that. Then the same with physicians. Physicians by 2027 we need an additional 490 physicians, and so we need to add an additional 54. But given the numbers from the various medical training facilities, I'm very certain that we can hit this number. Yeah. So the last issue pertains to the issue concerning electoral boundary demarcation. Even though that is not our function, we just need to come and present the results. So the subsequent discussion will be done between the legislature and NEC.
Right.
Because as I said the last time, LISGIS is the sole authority for census number.
Right.
NEC is the sole authority for elections number. So in terms of the actual figures, it is from LISGIS. So the NEC will be using our results for electoral boundary demarcation. So, like I said when I started the presentation, the threshold that was set in after the 2008 census was not uniform across counties. It was based upon ascribing fixed numbers to counties and dividing those numbers by the population of those counties. So you have counties with different threshold figures. Within the wisdom of the legislature will decide if we will maintain the current number of seats, or we will have to add additional seats. Nevertheless, the last time I flagged that there are a few concerns, which we hope that NEC will work with us, because we signed an MOU. NEC will have to work with us in terms of correcting those concerns. Because in Article 50D, let's go there at the beginning. Okay. Article 50E, rather, not D. It says that immediately following a national census and before the next election, the Election Commission shall reapportion the constituencies in accordance with the new population figures, so that
What article of the Constitution?
Article 80E. No, 80E.
Okay.
So immediately following a national census and before the next election, the Elections Commission shall reapportion the constituencies in accordance with the new population figures so that every constituency shall have as close to the same population as possible, provided, however, that a constituency must be solely within a county. So definitely there are a few things that we have reflected that the last time. The Election Commission will have to correct. There are few electoral constituencies that tend to go above into different counties. You can go, please show the map of these electoral areas on slide 22 and slide 23. Slide 22. For example, Magidi Electoral District 5. And some of it went into Grand Bassa, in which it shouldn't be. Bomb Electoral District 5 overlap into Magidi and Grand Bassa, then District 17. Some portion of District 17 happens to be in Bombing. And Electoral District 1 also in Monserrado County has that issue. So, given the fact that we have signed a memorandum of understanding, we hope, because we don't have the mandate to do electoral boundary demarcation, unless we are called, we hope we can be more involved in terms of ensuring that no electoral boundary will go into another county.
Yeah, the Constitution forbids that.
Yeah, because the Constitution forbids that. So each electoral boundary must be within the geographic limits of the county. So, on that note, because I know that given the fact that I'm before the esteemed House of Senate, there might be more questions coming from the members and of the Committee on National Census and Electoral Boundary Delineation. So I will ask for your permission to pause as I humbly sit and await questions and concerns.
Thank you, DG, for that wonderful presentation, presenting the National Census Report, followed by some analysis. Before we start engagement, two of our colleagues walking whilst we are doing the presentation. I'll ask them to introduce themselves. The gentleman from Robert J.
Pleasant good afternoon to all. My name is Jonathan Bonchas Sobe, and I represent the people of Yoruba County.
Thank you. Monserrado.
I'm Ibrahim Darrell Dilla. I represent Monterrey County. I chair the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs, and I am a member of this special last committee.
Thank you. We'll start the engagement. Senator Dillon, as he rightfully said, is the chair of foreign relations. There's an important program happening at the foreign ministry. He has to be there. So we want to give him some opportunity to ask his questions before he can leave. Senator Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I read his report. We will do what we have to do as a legislative body. I just want to ask one question because some of these interactions can help inform our decision on how to reform existing laws for the benefit of our people. If I got you right, you said that life expectancy is at 58
Yes.
in Liberia. Was that informed by what?
They were informed by the mortality, the existing mortality conditions in Liberia in 2022, because life expectancy is calculated from the number of deaths in the country as of the time of the census.
Okay. we have our law, retirement age in Liberia is at 65. And if you are paying into Social Security to retire at 65, if you don't reach 65 years old, or you have now worked for 25 years, you cannot tap into or benefit from, get your benefit from that cover. If life expectancy is at 58, and we have on our book retirement at 65, you think anybody will benefit from the retirement? Or you think we need to look at that to reform our laws in tandem with current reality? Question.
Can I
Yes,
answer?
please.
Yes, I think there is a need for us to reform our laws because the National Social Security, there's something called actuarial studies. They look at the life expectancy in the country, and it is based upon that the calculations are done for assigning the retirement age. The question we need to ask ourselves, whenever there are retirement programs across various ministries and agencies, after retirement packages are given to those people, how many years do they live? I've been around government, and technically we need to understand that most of those people, though for now we are not done clear empirical studies. We are not done clear empirical studies on understanding or doing a tracer analysis of those who are retired and how many years they live after retirement. We will embark upon that. But it will interest us to also know that majority of them might not live. So if we do such a study and realize that those who retire or those who retire at the age of 60, they don't live 1 or 2 years after they retire. So we might need to understand, because the real issue we see in the population is at the lower rung of the ladder and not at the top. Because we have 2.8% of the Liberian population or 65 years and above. 2.8%.
Yeah.
2.8%. So the greatest challenge is absorbing. We have to decide on how we address the issue of youth unemployment, how we decide to absorb them, at what age, at what point in time, and the benefits we need to employ within the economy to attract people not within the government, but within the private sector. So thank you, Honorable Senator.
Okay, so finally, I read your recommendation. As significant as this issue is, for me, when I receive these reports, I read them, I consult, and then I pick up the points that are supposed to help to reform for the common good. I read the recommendation. As consequential as this is that part of your recommendation?
Yes. And
Oversight?
well, I won't say an oversight, because the part of the matter is social demographic issues they are large, they are evolving, and what we have said is an issue that we didn't consider. Friendly. What we can do is to, and I think one of the best things for us to do is to do a tracer study with National Social Security to observe and to follow through those who are retired over the years, and those who drop out of the benefits. That is, we look at retirement benefits over the last 5 years and see the year of retirement, and those who, because they have died and have relatives already have brought death certificates, and we'll be able to know the year of retirement and the year of death. And if we can compute that such number, we can be able to adequately inform, and based upon what you are saying, we can recommend adequately. But thank you, Honorable Senator. This is a very important part that was not included.
My office would like to work with LISGIS on that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, thank you for that.
Thank you, Senator. All the best. Yeah, I'll remain. One of of our senators just walked in. Senator, kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Senator Councilor Joseph Jala, Senior Senator of Brooklyn County, Chairman Banking and Currency, Co-Chair Judiciary, Member Internal Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you,
They give me some more and I'm going to fight for it.
Thank you, Senator. Also, we want to recognize Senator Babila, who is a member of this committee. She has prior engagement, so we ask her to engage with you.
Thank you. We have one question. Let me say thank you to the leadership of LISGIS for a very good presentation and eye-opening on some of the development issues that we have to face as leaders of this country. But as you did your presentation, my mind went back to 2022 census, and we know that that process was marked by a lot of argument, concerns, questions as to how properly it was being done, and which means that the validity of the data will be a little bit of a concern. You have taken a number of years to go through your analysis and have had a beautiful presentation today. What can you tell this body and the Liberian people that the numbers that you are giving us today are numbers that we can rely on as a country in making development decisions? I just want you to clear that for the people and for us too, who will be working with those numbers.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I think they put us on the integrity of the data that we have. Thank you, Senator.
Sure. Obviously, all demographers, given the conduct of the 2022 census, will have concerns about the way the processes were done, especially the fact that the census week, or what we call the census night, usually censuses are conducted during a week period and not during a lengthy period of time. And we know that the census was being extended beyond the initial time that it was allocated to be conducted. And we know about much of the furor and the noise around the census. But definitely, our first challenge when we came, we had a process that huge investments were done in. And the first option was to rigorously look at the census, look at some of the inconsistencies, and usually one of the work of demographers is to detect errors within census data. And obviously, like any other census, you will see errors. And the next thing is to ensure those errors are being corrected. Nevertheless, we embark upon a huge validation. That's why we delay a whole lot. We embark upon severe validation of the census because you have to ensure that the census number at the locality level, and when you run the results at the locality level, they should tally with what is at the national level to a larger extent. But if one of the things is that if the census result or if the census data quality is poor and you run data at the lower level, you will begin to observe that there are a lot of issues. So we worked as seriously since last year because the abuse situation, like what Sierra Leone did, like what other countries did, was after a census that had a lot of issues, is to do a May term census. The May term census is usually conducted when the census has issues. Then you do the census instead of 10 years, you don't wait for the 10 years, you do it 5 years. That suggestion about whether we should wait for 10 years or 5 years is not totally within our purview. what is within our purview is to present this result, but with the provision that should we wait for 10 years? These are questions that we may have to look at. These are serious issues that, because one thing about projection, the more the number of years from the year of the census, the less accurate the projection. Because the conditions, the social, demographic, economic conditions that were present during the year of the projection will change. So if you're projecting during the 5 years for a census done 5 years ago, you observe that the situation might not be the same. You know, so the census for now, we believe that irrespective of its challenges, it's a working tool. You understand? Irrespective of its challenges, given the issues. But one thing I want to sound clearly, majority of the concerns were around the actual number per county. That was where most of the concerns were.
People also complain that they were not counted.
Yes. So what happened is, if you look at the number proportionally, each county, in terms of its percent, there's nothing much different in terms of the pattern from 2008 to 2022. So, if we must discuss politically, for those who are politicians to say that thresholds are defined based upon the percent population of the counties. The bigger counties still maintain the higher percentages to a larger extent, even though from the southeast Maryland, I think Maryland and Grand Julian population appears to be, if you look at the percentages per county. You understand? Because I think there's a slide here. Let's go there. Yes, you see here that Most Rally 36%, Grand Crew is 2.1, River 6 1.7, River G 2.4, Maryland is 3.3, Grand Judah is 4.1. Then other counties like Wyoming 2.5%.
And keep that slide there, my next question.
Come again? Yeah, so the raw fact, Honorable Senator, is the fact that the ideal situation is for us to reduce the period that the census is being conducted. But unfortunately for LISGIS, that period is by law, is in the law.
Right.
We cannot change it.
Good.
The law says 10 years.
Okay.
You understand? It is only by legislative provisions or whatsoever or legal terminology we can ascribe that we might decide, given the fact that there are deep concerns on the coverage of the census, that we might decide to reduce the period for census data collection to 5 years. But again, that conversation is beyond the confines of the technical understanding of LISGIS, because it is within the Constitution.
Follow up.
Yes.
You still have the floor. On that note, yes, you're right. It's constitutional. The Constitution 39 we talk about set the time frame for 10 years for the legislature to authorize a census. Less than 10 years, then it has to be through constitutional amendment, right? But let's look at, can LISGIS by her own, without the declaration from the legislature, can LISGIS do her own census without the legislature?
No.
Wait a minute, we can get that money? They have money.
No.
They get that money.
No. Before the census is conducted, there is an act. Correct. That will be passed by the legislature. There's a census act.
Yeah.
If that doesn't exist, there can be a census.
All right. It's something that we're discussing in committee room.
Yeah.
Not just our committee, but the committee on autonomous commission. it's something that we need to follow up. So, Senator, continue, please.
No,
She had the floor. She had the floor.
I'm not asking my whole question. I'm following up to what you said.
That whole question you asking?
In the absence of 10-year census, there's a right to macro census, housing, or a school census. Those census can take place.
But those are different censuses.
That wasn't that macro census.
So when I give the whole picture.
No, but you might have a division somewhere you want to do.
You'll get macro.
Okay, thank you. We'll look at it.
Agriculture census.
Yeah, do that.
Senator Bakula, please continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This one, and I asked you to keep that slide for a reason. I see the population distribution between male and female. The difference is just 0.4%. Right? There are people in our country, many people who do not read, so they will not read the numbers. They rely on picture to understand some of these things. It's an intentional or or should I interpret it as being gender biased? That a 0.4% difference can be shown in those kind of differences in the images we see there. You see the female way down as low is a huge difference. I will pick that up because honestly, because it doesn't show the actual picture of the difference.
Yeah.
So is that intentional? Why did you do that?
It's almost
It's so minute, almost negligible, but the picture shows a huge difference.
If you do a running off,
it's almost 50-50.
arithmetic, you
Yes.
are 50-50.
Yeah, Honorable Senator, you are 100% right. The gap between
The man who
24 and 49.6.
the person who did this particular chart is a male.
Certainly, it is intentional.
But actually, it is a problem that comes with doing a chart in Excel or PowerPoint. Because what it does is that it doesn't draw the number according to skill. And I think whenever we are doing gender now, we need to be careful. We will not do PowerPoint.
Thank you, Senator.
I see.
Senator Balekwa.
Yeah, but Senator, let me just say this. In Sierra Leone had a census. And the census,
She's excused.
there was some of the very same issues. In fact, they are about to do another one. We'll be going there. I talked to the SG, and we'll be going there. My Deputy Director General will go first, and I will join.
Is the conduct of their elections guarded by Constitution?
Come again?
Constitutional provision. The conduct of their elections is it guarded by
the census?
by their Constitution?
I think so. But they did a May-term census. They didn't wait for 10 years. It happened.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Because for also the legislature to authorize a census, we have to look at the Constitution. Anyway, Senator Balekwa?
Okay. Thank you, DG. I think you have done well. You've been awaiting this report. We were here last time. Unfortunately, because of the little differences that ensue between you and the election commission, the process has to be called. Finally, you are here. I'd like the state to have taken protecting your theft. And look, this particular presentation is mine. It's the LISGIS responsibility. So you've given us a clear picture. Thank you. My few concerns are this report that you've made today. Has it been validated by our international partners?
Yes. In fact, we received support from the UNFPA for both Liberian, apart from the technicians, we invited civil society, technicians, and so forth. We had external development force working with us, and we had a session outside of Monserrado. We had a whole session in Monserrado, and we vetted this process. So the results is being to a larger extent. In fact, the international people tend to be using the result more than us. Because if you go to most of the international website, the census result is there.
I gave you the last one.
So it is being used by almost all the international agencies.
Okay. From the conduct of the census, normally exercises that the problems are used to serve as guidance for future correction. Are there some major problems that you can share with us and relate in terms of maybe that almost undermined the result that we can take into next time so that we can be guided by that?
Generally, the first thing is that the censuses are guided by the international recommendation for population and housing censuses. Those recommendations and provisions in that document will be adhered to 100% by the institution convening the census. One, there are protocols, there are laid out protocols for pre-census activities. You must do a pilot census. The pilot census must be able to test the census coverage and logistics and the capability of the statistics office itself to be able to conduct the census and to do data analysis. That must be done, and the report must be available. Because it is for that report that the readiness of the National Statistics Office itself to conduct the census, is being considered. Then the next thing is that usually there will be a 1-year geographic mapping exercise. The geographic mapping exercise must cover every village, every town, every nook and cranny of the country, so that whenever the Honorable Senator asks LISGIS for map, I want this map from a locality, it should be available. Fortunately, that was done. Then, the census will be conducted during a fixed period of time. When the census period is too lengthy, it leads to double counting of personnel, because sometimes people might leave from one area to another, and if persons are not adequately trained, what happens is that people might not know how to consider persons who will be counted in a given place, because the census utilizes what we call the de facto method. The de facto method counted persons at the places where they were formed. The de jure method is used to compute persons at their places of legal residence. Because the definition of legal residence happens to be complicated in Liberia, the de facto method is being used. Nevertheless, even the places to count people to where they are found is also in terms of analytical consideration might be slavery, because if the persons doing the census enumeration are not adequately trained, that might be a problem. Then after the census, there must be what they call the post-enumeration census. That means you have to go back to where census was done to check whether, if you went to Mr. Philip Paul's house doing the census, you go back, you do a sample, and if you go back to Mr. Philip Paul's house, you want to see whether the data collected during the census and the time you went there after, there are discrepancies. And if the percent discrepancy happens to be so high, it should not be more than 5%. If the percent of variance between the post-enumeration census and the census is high, it means that that census happens to be problematic. LISGIS did not do post-enumeration census. It means that step was skipped. So in the process, whenever that process is skipped, the only allowance is to do demographic evaluation of the census. So we did demographic evaluation of the census, at least, but the best thing I do is to do a post-enumeration census. So we did demographic evaluation of the census, and to a larger extent to around what we are. So if you look at the processes, some steps were not duly followed. We hope that when the future comes, there will be more oversight and greater adherence to the census protocols, especially the international standard for conducting censuses.
Yeah, so those post-census activities you're talking about, I believe, have addressed most of the protestation. There were people, they wanna, how can this be this country? How they want? I think when all of that acquired later, those post-census activities addressed all of the plan, and I think that one led to requirement, the quality of the whole process. Okay, my next question is, you've done well, you talked about also the land space. Originally, Liberia, during the time of our independence, we said was 43,000 square miles. From the census result, are we still at 43,000 square miles?
Well, I have a GIS director here, but one thing that is clear, I don't think we are 43,000 square miles now. Why? Why? We have sea erosion that gradually encroaching on coastal towns and the cities. So, as of the time the 43,000 square miles was being captured, and if we are realistic now, there might be a marginal decrease of that number. The only way we can correct it is to reclaim our coastal land by ensuring that reversion of the sand, bring it on shore, and reclaim most of the places. Otherwise, 10, 20 years or 50 years from now, there might be a gradual reduction of the overall square miles of our country because of the encroachment of the Atlantic Ocean.
So,
you follow up?
Yeah, isn't that possible that while the sea is eroding in certain places, it's also receding in other places?
Technically, I may not speak to that honorable senator because my experience, especially one may be happening in Maryland, one may be happening in Basel, but one thing I know, Basel, there are being the encroachment of the sea has entered into most of those places. We see even in most around here. I don't know what is happening in Grand Cru and in Maryland. But one thing is, we all know because of climate change, right, or the great icebergs of the Arctic and the Antarctic cycle, because of global warming, they are gradually melting and they are increasing the volume of ocean water and gradually making the ocean to encroach upon coastal cities and towns.
The Euphrates.
Are you leaving?
The Euphrates is drying out. If this global warming, why is it not affecting it too? I mean, I'm just curious. I'm serious because we have not acquired any. We have not acquired any additional land. And if the land are being eroded by the sea, we understand that we know what's going on inside. But is it possible, and I'm just from the top of my head, is it possible that it could be receding in other places, thereby adding to our land as well? That's my question.
Yeah, but then with that, I was saying the law authority people, because they are really involved. But one thing that is clear,
yeah,
I'm not sure that the Kabbalah River in Grand and River G, reducing and going in other ports and so that making our land to extend in Cote d'Ivoire. I'm not certain.
Okay. So you talk about at the onset of your presentation where people were claiming that some actions were being taken to give advantage to some political party. Did your sense of it into consideration the concentration of other political parties in specific places?
Censorship should be non-political. And the fact of the matter is that statistics offices must present results void from political considerations. irrespective of what might have happened in 2022, the results still show that the proportion in terms of the proportion of people in counties have not really changed. So the smaller counties in terms of population still remain in smaller counties. So if the threshold debate is started, I'm very certain that consideration will be made based upon the population of people, and to a larger extent, if it is done by population, the bigger counties, given the proportion here, will obviously could be considered more in terms of getting seats than those with lower numbers.
So, in your recommendation, I know you've recommended how the population can be redirected into back to the rural parts of the country. You made some recommendations.
Yes. Yes. So, in terms of rural urban rural migration, the first thing is we need to focus more on decentralization instead of deconcentration. Deconcentration is where we ensure that basic services and basic facilities that are in a central or administrative district like Monserrato happen to be found in all the counties, but the core functions are still being retained in Monserrato. We need to upgrade the various community colleges and universities that are sprouting now. Graduate University has already been established. There are other universities, but we need to make them viable and show that they have quality teachers so that the gap between those universities and the University of Liberia and other universities in Monrovia will not be so wide that even if students are in those places, they will feel disadvantaged and that they will still want to come to Monserrato. And apart from that, basic services, we are in the internet age. If you go to, even in the rural parts, almost everyone wants to be on the internet, on Facebook. So if more internet and communication technology is available to people all around the country, irrespective of where they are, better health care, better schoolings, especially primary schools, it means people will remain to where they are from originally. And definitely, I'm very certain that efforts have been made in this line and over time, we can ameliorate the condition and curb the mass movement, because this is a serious concern. It's a serious concern because if this mass movement of people is not curbed, it means Monrovia or Monserrato will be the hotbed of almost everything. Electricity will have to increase the provision of electricity to people, water, and so forth. Definitely, when the people are more decentralized, especially if more people are in rural areas, more people will be available to engage in agricultural activities. More food will be available for our people locally. But as we speak, with 45% of our people in rural areas compared to 54% of people in urban areas, it is concerning, because if there is no check, who will be the people that will be available to work on our farms? You understand?
DG, you're right. Yeah. Let me just do a follow-up there on the same point. You are right, but I did not see that in your recommendation. In fact, it is the other way around. If you look at 6.4, your recommendations, you don't were enhancing urban infrastructure and services. I thought it would be to enhance decentralization, just as you are saying, so that the trend of rural urban migration will be halted. Yeah. So you are recommending that we create more facilities in Monrovia in the urban areas to manage the influx of the people already in Monrovia or other places. I thought we have recommended something that we need to focus
in the
some services, decentralization to the rural parts so that will
The migration.
Rural, urban migration. That's why I'm looking for, but what you are saying now is correct. That's what we want.
Yeah,
but if you read from your book, is the other way around?
Yeah, may I just sound this, eh?
Yes, sir.
That because we were to present results of the census, especially the census numbers. Because we were to present the census numbers.
Yeah.
The report of the census that pertains to the numbers that counted in the aggregate is the report on population size and distribution.
Right.
Nevertheless, we have done detailed reports, especially when it comes to migration. But nevertheless, within the recommendation that we have here.
Okay. Let me just say, if you have something to add, you already recognize it.
Honorable Senator,
yes, sir.
If you look at on page 54.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's one reason.
We promote regional development. It says, formulate tangible investment in rural development projects to create economic opportunity and reduce rural urban migration. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But when you say a conflict with the one above, anyway, that's right.
But the reality of the matter is that we need, the people are already in, they are already here. So you cannot engage in forced migration of people to say, oh, we need to engage in policies that will just push people out of here. These are citizens. There must be intervention.
The idea is the more space you create in Monrovia, and the more space you create, creating room for people to come and occupy the space. That's the point I'm saying. But that's you try to balance.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Senator, for the great people of Nigeria.
Thank you. DG, thank you very much. I learned a lot today from your report.
Very good.
So I want to say thank you to you and your office, entire office staff. I think you want me on the call of duty, and that I appreciate. People talk about life expectancy. Life expectancy definition defined by factors from country to country. So life expectancy of Liberia is different from life expectancy in America because the conditions people live. Oftentimes we always imitate America. When America says 65 years retirement, Liberia says, yeah, that's true. That's 65 years. To the extent that people pay to Social Security and they don't benefit from that money and they die. Even when they are alive and they go apply, they come from the village, they don't even know where to go. It takes them a very long time before they get home. By the time they get home, it's time for them to leave. So sometimes it's difficult to track accurate information on those statistics. I just want to mention that. The question I want to ask, how old should a person be to participate in census?
Census is for everyone, irrespective of age.
So you can start enrolling somebody into census at the age of 1 year?
You need less than a year.
Good. What is the length of residency for an alien to be part of the census?
The census happens to be a complete process so that irrespective of whether the persons are aliens or not, they all will be counted. But there are questions that will be meant to filter, to be able to demarcate whether the person is an alien or whether the person is a citizen. So, because the reason for not leaving out aliens, you want to know how many quote-unquote aliens are within the country, how many West African migrants are within the country, how many are from other African countries, and how many are from other continents. So because of that, you might decide to a larger extent to include everyone. Census includes everyone. So maybe the next census will be able to know the proportion of West African migrants that are in LOFA, especially those contiguous counties that are nearer to our neighbors, LOFA, Maryland, Cape Mountain, including Grand Juliet.
Sure.
And whether
they have the highest.
And whether some of the migrants are either from Cote d'Ivoire or from Ghana or from Burkina Faso or from Nigeria. Yeah.
This recent census, DG, did not do us a favor as a country.
Senator, sorry, just for one day, I want to do a follow-up. So, DG, I listened to you that the census included everybody. So, are you saying that the figure of 5 point something is that you presented to us today is just Liberians?
No.
It's inclusive, everybody. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
ROA, this is where I'm coming. Okay. That's what I said. This recent census did not do us a favor as a country. We had 10 years interval to prepare for a new census. But then we waited, I guess, maybe 6-7 months down the line, government will not find the money. And then overnight they found the money, they start rushing to go do census. Orientation, training of staff, did not take place properly. The resources to even feed the people are supposed to go and do census were not available. You gotta go and say, feed yourself. Feed yourself. Whoever to get money to feed themselves, the children you have recruited, they can feed themselves. You're sending to place their grandchildren deep into the villages, they say they must feed themselves. So obviously they never got to where they were supposed to go to bring the report. Some of them got it, they said they're not checking some of my citizens because they are not Liberians. So deep into the villages where people are digging gold, nobody reached them. And the people, those people that they are not ground people, they are fire people, they are Mende people, they are crew, they dig, they mining gold. Nobody reached them. So you come and you brought us a report, 250,000. Whereas we have 10 years to prepare for such a very important document. They're supposed to define who we are and how we're going to spend our money on our citizens. None of that took place as we expected. But again, I just want to add, and I love this report, it's very nice. We need to start from somewhere. I hope that the next 10 years we will have something that will take its own time so we can get, I'm sure we have about 5 million people. This recent census did not do well. Thank you very much.
Or take notes. The ones you can have. Okay. You done? Thank you, Senator.
I'm going to prepare the way for that, but I will start.
Yes, you're taking notes. How many that is deputy?
I have 5 small questions.
You came last, you have 5.
Yes, if I come earlier, I will be 10.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, you inherited this data, this census. It is not something that you originated on your own. How can you vouch for its authenticity?
LISGIS institution.
No, tell me.
Thank you, Senator Jala, and thanks to the senators for the action. We really do appreciate. I think similar question was being asked by Senator Bakila from Cape Mountain relative to the validity of the census results. As DD indicated, there are processes leading to the census. Yes, LISGIS as an institution skipped actually some of the like our Director General, for example, the post-enumeration survey, we call it PES for short. And so, but without the PES, we also take demographic evaluation of the census result. Any given statistical work that you have to do, plus and minus, if you are 95% confident in interval, that's acceptable internationally. And so with the demographic evaluation that was done with the census, as indicated by the Director General, the census result can be used as a working tool, even given some of the situations that are evolving around without the period. Thank you.
Okay, the follow-up to that, which is my second question, is the reason I'm asking about the credibility or your ownership taking of this census is that the current administration, the Union Party chairman, the Secretary General, and other political party reps came here during the 54 legislature to urge us to disown this census, that it was a hollow census. It didn't have any iota of merit. The chairman, Mr. Tapper, the Secretary General now at APRC was on that delegation, and other political parties. So that's a motivation for my question. So if you are now owning it, have you had meeting with these people? I mean, or what? I mean, because they came here before the election that we should not do anything with this census. It has no validity. It's a hollow word. It has no iota of goodness in it. So that's where we are.
So thank you, Senator Jara. I think now that the Director General is here, but before I pass it on to him, the Director General also indicated that statistical work are not political. And so politicians will speak their mind. You know, we leave it with them as politicians. But what we do as statisticians, the number will speak for itself. And so DJ, I pass it on to you.
Next question.
Let me add,
no, I think it's sufficient.
That was his last.
It's not sufficient because people argue here that it's not political. But politicians make decisions for the resources, for the facilitation and everything that go into it.
So, Senator, like I said,
and it's a political job you hold it to.
Yeah, before we validate a number, any statistical work that we do, according to the 10 core principles of statistics, we do not require consultation. So even if there is a discussion with politicians or political parties, that will not also change the numbers that we have. That's what I want to see.
Thank you, Senator. Please go on to the next question.
No,
the question was asked by Senator Mapula on the category of the results. We covered that extensively.
No. The preamble I brought into my question.
Yeah, political parties may state
the current administration, political chairman, the Secretary General.
Understand
but
that?
Do you expect specific answer?
Yeah. So what do you want to do about that? He made that statement.
Should we call them to? I mean.
Oh no. We can do it at a later day, but now with them.
They have the authority to change the result.
But they were urging all the put fear in this body that this withdrawal was hollow.
It's not the people who conducted the election said it. Different person said it.
That's my concern.
That person you can ask. See, what do you expect?
So why are you trying to get here? Asking me like that?
Because you want to rescue the vision.
Okay, now, let me try to have some definition for urban center. Is it only Monrovia that may constitute urban center, or Vanjama in Norfolk is an urban center? Banga in Bonkan is an urban center? So those are the clarifications we need to understand so that we know that. I want your validation.
What do you think? Yeah, so thank you very much. And thanks to my honorable senator from Lofa County. It is a great pleasure always, seeing you, especially giving your intellectual strength. The definition for an urban area happens to be the population of 2,000 and above.
Okay.
Then another thing about it is that county capitals are also included, even though we have recommended, because I can remember in 2010 I wrote an article suggesting the redefining of urban places, because definitely the population of the country is increasing, and 2,000 might not technically be, it may be a technically small number, because there might be places or locations or towns that have 2,000 persons but do not have the relevant socio-economic amenities for conducive living. So the folks from city planning, the Ministry of Internal Affairs and so forth, we all need to come together to look at the definitions of urban places to see whether we can include socio-economic amenity as a component of the definition, because there are some towns, because the definition says 2,000 and above, or a county capital. In 2008, when we did the census, a county capital was not up to 2,000. For example, Benton or Pennsylvania. But because it is a county capital, it was being deemed as an urban place. And I think the same with River G County. So we will have to consider that as we go forward. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what I can maybe do them for the last the issue of population versus size of county. You know, it's very germane for me. For example, you take Lofa that has maybe a few years ago 50% of the total ethnic groups in this country. Okay, but in the state, a county with one ethnic group, a small place, will be more in terms of size, population than Lofa. Even if you take Bong or Nimba, for example, you will realize that because of the concession in Nimba, you found foreigners, or that's a non-Liberian, let's say foreigner, you found non-Liberians as well as non-Nimba citizens that make up that population. How do we make this number, or how to call it, realistic or appreciable for future references? Because when the population is down, it may not indicate of this number, this percentage is not, non-origin of this area.
Oh.
The Kisi people left the
In fact, Honorable Senator, the general presentation here is an interesting presentation.
There is people in spreadsheet.
So you're showing
Yeah.
his people.
Yeah.
From local county,
Yes.
50% of, for example, Loma, live in Montserrat County.
Oh.
Yeah.
You surprised?
You
surprised?
By the way, man, what me are scared?
Kisi, 40% of the Kisi people live in Montserrat County.
40.4.
40.4.
Amen.
You understand?
Yeah, people there.
And the country you own it now.
Okay, you would go to River G, you see? You maybe go to
Yeah. Bandi, 33% of Bandi people live in Montserrat County.
Oh. No,
So,
let me so. You want to develop a possible, no?
So, Senator, one of the issues you spoke about, for example, in Nimba, that you have ArcelorMittal.
Yeah.
So, in economics, as in demography, we have what we call a push and pull factor. So, one of the areas that the Director General spoke about was the issue of having basic social amenities in the counties. So, if you have employment opportunities going to the counties, you have people rolling there. You have educational opportunities advanced in the counties, you have people going there. Health facilities, you have people going there. So these are some of the reasons. And perhaps we need to do a deeper dive into that. Perhaps some of the reasons for the movement is because they want to come and have better living, instead for greener pasture.
yeah, but let me just say this, Honorable Senator. If you look at the 2010 article, apart from the fact of apart from the disparity in socio-economic conditions, there is also the historical factor. One of the things we need to understand is that historically, even before the coming of the settlers and even after, Monrovia had been a trading center. One of the main reasons for saying this is that almost all the ethnic groups in Liberia have the same name for calling Monrovia. So it means that all these ethnic groups have had interactions with Monrovia compared to other places, because there is no other town that you have in Liberia that almost all the ethnic groups have similar name to call that town. So historically, and even after...
But Monrovia, the English.
No, Dukon.
I don't Cuba.
Almost all the ethnic groups in Liberia call Monrovia either Dubon, irrespective of the situation.
Right.
So it means that historically all these tribes have had interaction with Monrovia, whether it was because of trade and commerce before the settlers or what, but Monrovia has been the center of the attraction. Then with the coming of the American Liberian governance from 1847 to 1980, after then the war also, because of displacement of people, more people left the rural part that were very unsafe because of marauding combatants. People had to come to Monrovia because you are Ecomog and this place are relative safety. So Monrovia became an attraction for people. And moreover, this place is the center for trade and commerce, for education, for good health care. So if the condition remains the same, the movement, the gravitational pull will be still towards Monrovia.
I'm done.
Thank you, Senator. DJ, honestly, I want to say thank you to you and your team for the brilliant presentation. Some of the questions I had to
Apologize.
Maybe people have a few more. Can we go to the slide that shows the trend of of the census?
Okay.
The trend of the census. For example, from 1962 to 1974.
Slide number 8. You want to wear
What you had in the news?
yeah, the bill too big compared to people.
Okay, right.
Okay. So you have from 1962 to 1974, that's 12 years, meaning we went 2 years above the constitutional term. Then you had 1974 to 1984, well, exactly within 10 years.
Yes.
Then 1984 to 2003, we have 24 years. We have 14 of those years of civil crisis. 2008, when the war was over, 2008 to 2022, we have 14 years.
Yes.
Also, we went 4 years beyond. And this 2022 census, some people were saying, there was so much noise about this. That's why the integrity of the results, some people, some political parties try to politicize it. What can LISGIS do? I know we have to play our part to find the funding. But funding should not be an excuse, DG. If we properly plan to conduct census, we already have a constitution. The constitution already told us that in every 10 years, you must have this. So what is left for us to do now is to properly plan for us to do this. So from the end, I remember 2022, I was part of it here. We had hearings, all the things was here. It was not just funding, it was the preparations. The job was not prepared. So what I'm saying, both as a LISGIS, the legislation, as a government, what do we do so that we can live within the 10-year time frame? You already said that even the 10 years, a long time. But at least if we live within the 10-year period, we can get some. I mean, I'm saying this because listening and reading the analysis that you presented, it impacts all of our planning purposes. So what can we do as a government, as a people, to make sure, especially you, is your constitutional mandate, your statutory mandate, what do you do to make sure that we stick to the constitutional time frame?
So there are a few things. The first thing is that we need to build a capacity, ensure that LISGIS is in the readiness for conducting the census. Another one is having available financial resources to conduct the census. Over time, historically, we have depended upon support from international partners to a greater extent. If within the wisdom of the legislature that there will be some resources allocated annually, that will be.
Okay, let me hold you right
Yeah.
there. The legislature will not be determined for LISGIS. LISGIS has to inform the legislature this is what we want to do to prepare us for the conduct of census. So once we receive a program from LISGIS through the oversight committee, of course we can do that. But we cannot arbitrarily, and you have to also inform the executive.
Yes.
So it's an effort from you, initiated by you, the executive, and us to make sure that we stick within the time frame.
Yes, so Honorable Senator, we are very back up.
Right.
We didn't have a national strategy for statistics. We are in the process of completing a 5-year national strategy for the development of statistics in Liberia. That strategy will include the costing for the conduct of the next census. It will also include capacity building. But irrespective of that, LISGIS, as we speak, just last year, we sent 24 of our staff for master's degree across the world. One in Italy, 24 of LISGIS staff were sent, 2 to India. We sent 8 to Nigeria to do geographic information studies from the African Regional Institute of Geospatial Studies. We sent the bulk of them to the University of Dar es Salaam. They are doing demography.
Okay.
Because in 2008, LISGIS sent me, along with 2 others, to do our master's. We were the first to go for master's degrees sponsored by LISGIS. I want to do demography, the 2 want to do economics. After that, we have the past Director General was a demographer. Now the Deputy Director General, we have very few demographers at LISGIS. But when these staff who have left, and when they shall come back,
Hopefully,
because we are monitoring the progress, and it is our hope that they will come back, because we have memorandum of understanding between us and them that will ensure that at least on a minimum level they must work for LISGIS, because they are being sponsored by LISGIS.
and their positions, there will be positions available for them when they return.
Yes, obviously, and we are working on ensuring that. We are working on ensuring that, apart from the issue of their positions, we're looking at compensation for LISGIS staff, because if you look at other national statistics offices across the continent, most of these NSOs have staff that are well compensated. So we have been making upon it those to ensure that there will be some augmentation of the compensation lines on our body, so that our staff salary can be increased.
What is the projected time for the next census?
2032.
2032.
Yes.
Is it feasible to have the election, to have the census after election, when you indicated that, in fact, if the national concern is required that the election be conducted even before the 10 year, why don't we have the election, have the census before the elections?
Yeah, so if the legislature comes today and say, look, this 10 years is too long, let me reduce it to 5 years, let me reduce it to 3 years.
So what is the 2032 is the constitutional time frame that he cannot alter. We ourselves cannot alter. It will take a referendum to do that. So that's why he's a little All right, so let me continue. Like I said, your analysis are so informing, very, very brilliant. I want to ask, who are the users of your information, your data? I listened to you said some international partners they are using it now. What about our national Ministry of Finance? Now we're going to do national budget debate. It's now presented as in the possession of the legislature now. We're going to do debates. We don't have this. So how? Answer my question. Who was using them? Who are the users of the website?
Thank you very much. We only highlighted the Arrest Agenda for Inclusive Development, the evaluation process, the monitoring and evaluation framework was greatly informed by data from LISGIS. All national development planning in Liberia, LISGIS is the point of first call. It is a result that are being used for planning, for projection.
Okay, so you can confirm that when the national budget, the draft budget was being formulated, LISGIS was contacted.
Yes, always. In fact, on a daily basis, we see calls from ministries and agencies wanting to use our data, wanting to use our maps. In fact, that's why I have my director of GIS here. Almost every day there are requests from various groups of people. Now let me just say this. We have, in terms of our users, the legislature, we are using our data now. Academia, the universities, researchers, independent citizens, non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations, all of these, when they want to carry out intervention, the result they use will come in this.
So that's beautiful. One of the last things I want to say is that you talk about it small. Reasons for this urban, rural urban migration. Have we done any studies that your studies, was there any studies towards that end? Why we have this huge rural urban migration? Huge population.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator. Probably again this will be like a follow-up response to what the Director General earlier indicated. Usually there are push and pull factor for migration. And so what we normally do after a census, we do sometimes a deeper dive analysis. For example, you are asking about the rural-urban migration. What are the factors contributing to that? Generally, people will say push and pull factors, but to do deeper dive, that would be a consideration for us to know why are the people moving from one county to another. We could look at that and subsequently to know what are the reasons from county to county.
Normally, the reason why I ask is that when I was superintendent of Maryland, before that time and during that time, we had huge population leaving, our youth population, leaving Maryland, coming to Florida or other counties because there was no university. So we pushed for the establishment of the Bolivia University. Now we have it. So I'm keen to see whether we manage to control the population migration from our Then secondly, NIMA. There are two factors, economic factors. But NIMA has metal. I thought that people would be flocking towards NIMA. But then when I saw one of the slides, I see that we have more people from NIMA. Instead of more people to NIMA, we saw more people from NIMA. That's why I'm asking, what could be some of the reasons There's Nima University there. There's Mittal, there's employment opportunities there. I put it in quotation. There are employment opportunities there. So what could be the reasons why we still have more people leaving from Nima instead of people going to Nima? That's what I asked. Did we do any studies to see why? Let's go beyond the general view that economic factors, social factors, but we need to go in depth to see to address some of these things. We have to do some studies.
Yes, so as my Deputy Director General said, there are theoretical push and pull factors. They exist. Nevertheless, to know the individual conditions existing, for example, looking at Nima County, what factors are leading to people living from Nima to Montserrat? We will need to go deeper. Even though we have a separate migration report, there's a separate report on migration organization. We have that report separate. Apart from this. But that report did not go into understanding the correlates or the determinants of migration. It did not go to that extent. So we need to do further study. But one thing that is clear, Nimba, irrespective of the fact that there are some facilities that Nimba has good road network, somebody can leave from Kanta anytime it just comes to red light. Movement between Nimba and Huge. That's a serious factor. And if we maintain disparity between the place of origin and the place of destination, and that difference is such a way that it serves as a gravitational pull, people will leave. Another factor having to be chain migration. What is chain migration? When individuals who are first migrants go into urban areas, they send for their relatives. Do you understand? I'm in Montserrat County. I sent for my relative. If you look, in fact, when you look at the historical patterns of migration and settlements, chain migration led to the formulation of quasi-tribal settlements. For instance, Claratown. Claratown, if you understand, is Claratown. And you all know that Claratown, most of the persons, they have out of crew of persons of Kwa origin because of chain migration. Persons from the Mende-speaking tribes, you go to Red Light, you go to how do I call it, the place of Bagland, Wukiam, those areas are mainly dominated by persons from Bong, Nimba, and Lofa. If you look, for some of us, I was technically born in Banditan in Lokintan because of chain migration. Because there was one of our tribal men who came in the 50s or early 40s and settled, and later on open tribal settlement. So many people are attracted from the rural area to urban areas because of chain migration. Because we bring our relatives to the city to live with us, and it's also contributing, which is also a factor.
Okay, DJ, we want to say thank you.
DJ, yeah, you talk about, it's still out of my mind, you talk about district number 4. This district number 4, I know is where red light is located. If red light is located, is it not taking into consideration the people that migrate there on a daily basis for marketing?
That is possible. It's possible, but migrants are different from short-term movers. Migrants are people who change place of residence. For example, if you live from here to go to Maryland and you don't change place of residence, you're not a migrant. You are a mover.
Yeah,
not a migrant.
Maybe we could say mover.
Yeah, but migrants are those
people who just go there on a daily basis, do their marketing. For which they play care in a daily, hugely populated, but in the evening you see everybody going back to their respective. I don't know what that's the people they took into account that caused them to have huge population in them.
Where in district number 4 and most of the places, people were enumerated at their place of residence.
Right.
All right, thank you.
DJ, on behalf of the AHA committee and the President pro temporary, the Liberal Senate, I want to say thank you to you, to your deputy, to all the senator staff, and thank you for your coming, for the presentations. It's very, very important. The next stage of our work will be to call on the National Elections Commission to use the data, the official report you have presented to us, for us to work with them to do the threshold setting. After we should have set the threshold, then they will now move to the candidates to do the boundaries, the limitations. So I want to say thank you very much. The Senate will request a copy of your presentation. Especially the committee will need it. Yeah. We need some for
everybody.
The committee on waste, means and finance. As I said, our planning, our budgeting has to be informed. If we have this and we go in our committee rooms to do appropriations, to look at the figures, the draft budget that the Ministry of Finance sent, we will do that with what we have, what we have presented. We cannot do planning without data. Budget is a planning tool, so we hope to have copies of that so we can give it to people. So as we sit in our committees, we can use them for our website. Thank you so much. God bless you. Sergeant Arms, kindly discharge the witnesses.
Yeah. So that we'll do conversation again and protesting.
Thank you, Sergeant.